What if luxury home ownership in Orange County was more attainable than you thought? At Skyline OC, Orange County's tallest residential tower, you can own a designer-finished residence with resort-style amenities, breathtaking panoramic views, and a lifestyle designed for how you live, work, and invest. Whether you're building wealth through real estate or searching for your next home, Skyline OC offers exceptional value in the heart of Orange County with condos from the 600s to $3 million. Visit SkylineOCResidences.com and discover why now is the perfect time to own at Skyline OC. I let my personal brand die, and it cost me millions, and it's nobody's fault but my own. 10 years ago, I started my personal brand by launching a podcast called Millionairemindcast. This was way before podcasts were cool, by the way. And 1,100 episodes and millions of downloads later, I've been able to interview some of the best and brightest investors, operators, business owners all around the world. And at one point, it even made it into the top 25 in its category. It helped me get deal flow. I've landed investment partners, and some of my best estate deals happened in the DMs. They were brought to me through relationships built on platforms like this. I posted every day religiously for years, and then honestly, life just showed up. I got busy. I was burnt out from producing content. I became a dad. I was heads down trying to scale my 3 hotels in Lake Tahoe at the time while managing my existing real estate portfolio. And eventually my daily posting just came to a screeching halt. Now, I'm sure you can guess what happened next. My podcast downloads dropped significantly. Sponsors stopped emailing me. The likes and the comments went away. My deal and investor pipeline slowly dried up, and I honestly didn't realize how important my personal brand had become to my business and to my ability to earn until it was way too late. When I looked at all the numbers, I found my first off-market shopping center because a broker liked my content. I got my first hotel deal because of a pastor of all people who was watching my Instagram posts. I got my capital for my next 2 hotels because of the social media that I was putting out. I raised millions of dollars from accredited investors who were avid listeners of my show. And that's honestly just the start. Personally, I think I just got burnt out, and it cost me big, no doubt. But you know what? The L's I've taken in my life, in hindsight, has always led me to some of my greatest lessons. So this time, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm learning from those mistakes. I'm starting from ground zero. And honestly, I couldn't be more excited about it. The social media landscape has changed, and that requires me to change. So instead of producing and performing, I'm just going to document the journey. I'm going to talk about the things that I'm passionate about. And I'm going to be as authentic and transparent with all of you as I possibly can, because to be honest, those are the brands that I resonate with the most and that I think are going to win long-term anyways. So my new personal brand goals are as simple as this. I want to get to 100,000 followers in the next 12 months by bringing insane amounts of value and a little fun along the way. I want to grow my ImagosX customer base, and I want to get the fund to 10 million. And while we're at it, we might as well unlock some epic experiences to enjoy it with the people that matter the most. If you like this kind of content and you want to help me chase these insane goals, or if you're maybe building your personal brand up again, let's do it together. Give me a follow. Well, there you have it. I'm back, baby. You know, it's been some time that I have felt this excited and energized and really just committed. I lost my level of focus and commitment to my personal brand. And, you know, I don't regret it. There was a lot of things going on in my world that felt way more important to me. And at the same time, you know, I knew looking back, what you heard me say it right there. I mean, when I look at the common thread of all of the amazing interviews that I've had, all of the amazing relationships that I've built, investors that I've, you know, been able to get into my deals that have showed up in my inbox that I've actually, you know, purchased and taken down. The common thread was my personal brand, because at the end of the day, people get a window into who you are. You know, I realized I'm like, I don't need 1 million followers. I just need to be myself. I need to be transparent, authentic, the things that matter to me and I feel I'm staying aligned with in terms of my values. And the right people will show up in my world as they have always done. And that is something that really slapped me upside the head and reminded me, dude, like, get back to the original reason why you started your podcast, why you started sharing content online, why you ultimately wanted to build a personal brand.
It was to connect with amazing people. It was to have a way of learning. It was to have a way of sharing and bringing value to others. And it was a way of elevating your life in terms of sharing the journey with other people and allowing others to lift you up. And like that barrel of monkeys, those two little plastic monkeys, right? Or the monkeys, they have two what? Two arms, one up, one down, constantly looking for a way to level up, but constantly looking for a way to bring other people up. And that was something that I got away from. So I am back. I'm really excited to be sharing with you guys. I think for a lot of people, it is easy, and I don't know if this resonates with you or not, but it's really easy to do the things that you know you need to do when you feel motivated and you're energized and you're fired up. And don't get me wrong, I've got a little bit of that, pumping through the veins right now. But when I really look at when I've had the most success in my life, when I look at other people who have had the most success in their life, and you can insert any category you want here, the most success with your health, the most success in your marriage, the most success in your business, your investments. It's what separates the people who are the high achievers. It's the people who find ways to make progress and be consistent doing the shit they don't want to do on the days that they don't feel that motivation, that energy, when they're not fired up. And so the best way that I have found to be able to do that consistently is to one, have default habits and disciplines that propel you through those walls of not feeling motivated and not feeling fired up, but also to have the right systems and the frameworks in place. So that way, your default of when you fall down, even on those types of days, it's still getting you to the outcome and the result you need at a bare minimum. Now, it may not be your best result, but it's consistently happening no matter what. And so we are really fired up about some of the stuff that we're building here on the content side, because that was the biggest challenge of like, man, this is a fucking job. There's a lot of shit that I got to do to put this stuff out there. And if I can just stay focused in the things that I love doing, right? I am building ImagosX. I'm building the Imagos Income Fund. Those are, partnered together. So really one and the same in a lot of ways, because I've partnered with an amazing company on the experiential and bespoke side, which I'll share more about. We're going to be giving some insights and updates on that in today's episode. And then I've got, my commercial real estate portfolio, right? Like owning and operating real estate. We got the build out for TJ Maxx and Harbor Freight going on right now. I've got a new tenant that we just landed that I'm really excited about, hoping to share that with you guys here soon because I got the approval at real estate committee, but I'm not going to share that until we have that written formal notice on that front. But those are things, right, that I'm like, I got a lot of other stuff. I don't need another job with social media. But instead of it being something where I got to perform and I've got to produce, how can we just make this a framework that I can just document what it is that I'm doing to build the brand that I want to build and resonate with, which is being transparent, being authentic, just being me. So that way I can, one, add value to others, and two, give a window into who I am, what I'm building, what I'm doing, and attract the right people back into my world. So the AI agent that we're building that allows me to ideate, and share the topics and the content that I'm already focused on and passionate about, and have this kind of production line that ultimately I just need to hit record and show what I'm doing. And it's going to all produce and get out. That's something that I'm really fired up about. So one of the things that we are excited about for this week's episode, and something that you'll probably notice going forward on Fridays, is a little bit of a new format. So it's going to be somewhat similar to what obviously you see on Wednesdays with Ryan and I. Um, but a little bit more of a, short and concise framework. And so here's what you can expect on every Friday's episode going forward. Number one is going to be a segment called Big Finance Simple Words. I don't know about you guys, but I believe if you're listening to this show, you're already somebody that I know is curious. You're looking to elevate yourself. You're looking to get sharper and really find ways to put more tools on your tool belt to go out and slay whatever dragon it is that you're looking to slay. And as a real estate investor and just an investor in general, over the years, by being around the most successful people I've been around, they have always had this one quality, which is being in a constant state of curiosity and being humble enough to go like, I know there's something new I can learn. I know things are changing. I got to adapt and pivot. I know that there's things that I don't know. And therefore, I need to consistently put myself in a state of curiosity and learning. And if you want to build real wealth, if you want to build a real financial, future for yourself and for your family, we got to keep learning. And one of the things that I've noticed about myself over the years, going like, I think I'm a pretty smart dude, pretty smart investor. I'm constantly in a state of curiosity and learning. And almost every day I come across something where I'm like, shit, I didn't know what the fuck that meant. I didn't know what that, means to me as an investor or how this ties into a strategy. And so this segment is going to be called Big Finance Simple Words. And we're going to be breaking down a big finance term very simply in 3 minutes or less to just keep putting new tools on your tool belt to understand kind of the way the game of money works. Because at the end of the day, there's always something to learn and it's always evolving and changing. So today's episode is going to be on the 10-year treasury. The next segment is going to be tied to this idea of transparency and sharing with you what the hell is going on with what I'm building. And that is going to be the state of the fund in ImagosX. So where's the fund at? You guys heard the goal that I shared at the beginning and top of the episode, which is I want to get the fund to 10 million bucks. Now that might not sound massive to a lot of people in terms of where big funds, are at. My goal one day is to have the fund at 100 million. In the short term, I want to get the fund over the next 12 months to 10 million. And that is something that with the help of you guys and the help of, the content and getting this in front of the right people, I think we're going to get there. I feel very confident and excited about that. So I'm going to share a little segment on that each and every week. And then we are going to give you guys an idea of what we're doing at Imagos X and how this experiential concierge, access to call it A-list experiences, is something that we can't share all of the stuff that we're doing because one, my partner in that business who's been doing this for over a decade, one of the things that has made him so successful in working with A-list celebrities, working with large hedge funds, working with PR people and promoters is this level of exclusivity and privacy. And there are packages on average that he's selling to hedge funds that are buying these for their clients or to big, large companies that are providing this to their entire employee base, or obviously celebrities, reality TV stars, high net worth individuals, athletes that are buying stuff from him that are 250, 500. I mean, $1 million package for, an experience. These are the things that how he has carved out such a great niche for himself is, he's that dude. He's their plug for stuff that you cannot find on Ticketmaster, on StubHub, on things that, you could go on the internet and Google. You can't get this stuff. So there's certain things, of course, I'm not going to be able to share with you guys unless you're an ImagosX customer. But I was like, dude, can you give me some inventory, some stuff that I could share out that just shows and highlights like how cool what you have access to really is? Because this could be a great way for us to drive more awareness and attention through the content that we're sharing to help people understand like what ImagosX actually has availability to. And so this was kind of funny. He was like, well, yeah, I mean, I can give you some of my lower tiered stuff that they still wouldn't be able to find online, but is, maybe not as exclusive and not going to, my higher purchasing clients don't buy. And so I'm like, cool, like give me some of that. Right. So there's going to be some stuff that we're going to share, and I'm going to call this, kind of the moment of the week or the moment of the month. And these are going to be things that our ImagosX customers, and in our investment fund, how we curated this experiential investment fund idea is, obviously you get that return on the 10% on the capital that you've invested in the fund, but you also now, as an investor in the fund, get access to the experiential stuff that nobody else can get access to. So I figured, let's share more of that. This is strategy. I'm talking strategy with you guys on what I was thinking of, how we find ways to drive more awareness, more attention to the ImagosX brand that could ultimately bring more celebrities, athletes, funds, companies that want that high level, inaccessible kind of product and inventory for them or their customers, right? And at the same time, by doing that, how can we also make the Imagos Income Fund so unique that, people who are already buying these types of experiences and just spending on them, like, well, what if you could spend on those things and have access to that kind of stuff, but be in our investment fund and actually earn at the same time? So that was an idea of like, okay, we got to find a way to share more about the events and the moments that we're making available to our investors. That'll create more awareness for ImagosX, but also that will kind of cross pollinate and hopefully get more awareness and intention over to the Imagos Income Fund, which could help us drive some people that want to invest there. So we'll be doing a segment on that each and every week, and I'll share a little bit of a kind of a fun story from one of this last week's episodes, which was, or this last week's events, which was Lollapalooza, which was, obviously one of the largest concerts in the country in Chicago, sold out. We had some reality TV stars who bought a really interesting package from us and ran into some issues that ultimately led them to becoming customers of ours, because we solved a problem that these very connected people couldn't find a way to get solved, and we were able to, at ImagosX, get that solved. So I'll share a little bit about that. That was kind of fun. And then we're just going to do a little segment called The Scroll, right? This is kind of like what we do on our Wednesdays Money Moves episode, just to, get a little bit more insight on some of the things that I'm seeing out there that are important to maybe pay attention to. We're calling it the signal, the scroll, signal or noise, right? Is this something that is like a signal we should be paying attention to? It's going to, impact some stuff going forward, or is this just noise? Is it just social media shit that maybe did get some of us, up in an uproar about? Hey, what's up, guys? I'm so excited to announce, if you are an investor looking to generate consistent passive income, then I've got something for you. I just launched the Imagos Income Fund. It is a private investment debt fund. So instead of relying on long-term appreciation or big exit events like most real estate syndications do, we decided to keep it simple. Focus on first position, asset-backed lending, just like a bank, meaning your investment is backed by real collateral and structured to produce income from day one. The target return, 10% paid out annually and also paid out monthly. So no guesswork, real passive returns, true mailbox money. And because we're in the debt position, not equity, we're able to prioritize downside protection, maintain shorter durations, and stay in control of the risk, which is most important in environments like this. This is built for investors who want steady cash flow, strong capital preservation, and real asset exposure without the headaches of owning, managing, and waiting years for a payoff. So if this resonates with you, if you want to learn more, I put together a full investor presentation breaking everything down. All you got to do is just text the word income to 844-447-1555. That's income to 844-447-1555. I'll send you everything so you can see if it's a fit for your portfolio. So that's going to be the segments that we're going to focus on for the upcoming episodes. So why don't we start by diving into, I've got it pulled up. I'm going to throw it up on the screen if you're not watching this live or on YouTube. Basically, I'm just pulling up the 10-year treasury because today's signal, or today's big finance simple words is going to be around the 10-year treasury. I don't know about you guys, but I've always known that the 10-year treasury was important. And yet for a long time, and this was well after I started investing, for a long time, I was like, I don't fucking know why it matters. Like, well, what does it matter? I hear people talk about it, but why does it actually matter? Today, the 10-year treasury sits at 4.65%. Federal funds rate, obviously, at the last FOMC meeting got held at 3.5 to 3.75. So where's the delta and the difference there? Like, why is the federal funds rate at that 3.5 to 3.75 number? Why is the 10-year treasury here at 4.65 almost? And ultimately, like, why does that matter to me as an investor? So I figure I'm going to break this down because it is important to understand, especially this one in particular. It drives so much of the economy, of how investors are able to borrow money or not. And ultimately, it's somewhat of a crystal ball into the way the market and people are thinking about the money game and the future of the money game. So the best way I can explain this is to think of it like this. The 10-year is, if you were to have a friend that wanted to borrow $50 from you tomorrow, and they said, you know what, just let me borrow this $50, but I'll pay it back to you the next day. You're like, okay, cool, no problem. Like, here's the $50. I don't care. I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to get that back tomorrow. But if that friend said, hey, let me borrow $50 and I'm going to give it back to you in 10 years, you're going to want more cash back if you're going to have to part with that amount of money for that long period of time. And knowing that the government loves printing money and we have no idea, I can't see out that far, what that $50 is going to buy me a decade in the future, that ultimately would dictate what I tell them I want as a result on the money that I'm going to give them and what I want back. And that's essentially what the 10-year treasury is. It's basically the entire world lending money to the US government for 10 years. And when they lend the US government money on that 10-year treasury, that is the interest rate that they are demanding as a repayment. And what that interest rate basically shows or tells us is the market saying, here's how scared we are of the future. The higher it is, the more scared we are. The lower it is, the more confident we are. And that ultimately is a reflection of how the market sees the US economy and the US dollar and overall the strength of their ability to lend money to the US government. It's all reflected in the 10-year treasury. And a lot of people think that the 10-year treasury is actually set by the Fed. No, the Fed just sets the federal funds rate. The market, the people who lend out money that they get from the government, are the ones who set the 10-year treasuries. So this is why we've seen, and I don't know if you've experienced this in the past, the Fed could cut rates tomorrow and your future mortgage rate can actually get worse in the same week. So if you see, you know, the market thinks that inflation is sticky, or, you know, the economy ain't looking so hot, or maybe there's a conflict going on and there's some uncertainty around that, right? They're going to want to get paid more to wait. And therefore, this is going to be reflected in the 10-year treasury. And so that's the delta that we often see between the 10-year treasury and the federal funds rate, right? And so the best way that I could explain this in very, very simple terms is short-term debt follows the Fed and long-term money like mortgages follows the 10-year. So that's why this single number dictates the entire world and game of money and finance. We watch the 10-year treasury because it sets interest rates for your mortgage, for credit cards, for the entire stock market. The list goes on and on. So I would just recommend to people, hey, just check the 10-year treasury. As an investor, this is something to stay intimate with. It'll give you somewhat of a crystal ball into how people are feeling and thinking about the economy, about lending, about capital, about the overall state of the markets when you can understand how the 10-year treasury is moving. So we watch Google. If you come over here to, CNBC, or there's a bunch of websites that track the 10-year. This is something that, I just look at. Ideally, I look at it every day now, but at least once a week, right? And if it's climbing, then that probably means that we're going to see higher borrowing costs, which obviously, look what we've seen since, let's go back to year to date. I mean, March was the lowest, which was 3.96. And guess what? We've seen it just continue to climb. And we've seen rates, at the 30-year mortgage rate on buying a house right now is the highest it's been in a long time. Well, good. You can see exactly why. Because if you're following the 10-year, this is dictating the mortgage rates, right? If you look at other lending, rates and opportunities on shorter debt, even then, following the 10-year. So this is seeing this climb. Okay, we might be able to foreshadow what this looks like, going forward. And if it's falling, then this either means, hey, maybe the economy is slowing a little bit, or, things are getting a little stale and stagnant. So we really need to find ways of injecting activity. And therefore, that might mean that we could see some cheaper loans or borrowing in the future. So 10-year treasury, some interesting stuff on that front. I think it's important to track these things because at the end of the day, if you want to be a better investor, understanding the 10-year and how it impacts so many aspects of our economy. And of course, if you're an investor, then you're probably looking at leverage, right? And using debt in some capacity, unless you're that, special case of paying all cash for everything. Like most people that build wealth, they look to strategically use leverage, and the 10-year is a big indicator in how the state of lending and debt is going to impact you in your overall investment strategy. So let's roll over to the state of the fund. And right now, the state of the fund is, over the last week, got 2 new investors in this past week, for one investor at 100, the other investor at 250. That puts me a little over 2.5 mil in capital raised for this year, which is, hey, I'll take it. I'm excited about it. We haven't, I've only really shared it with my close network and, a lot of my warm relationships. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that are sitting on cash but are a little bit hesitant, or are interested, but, haven't really wanted to put the money to work yet, which is totally understandable. So I'm just trying to be, again, more transparent and sharing, what we're doing, how we're doing it. And I will say, just from the last few weeks of putting out videos, I've probably got 6 or 7 new investor calls on my calendar, which is exciting for me, right? Like, that's why I'm putting out more content, is to have results like this. So if you're somebody that has it's a 50K minimum, accredited investor fund. We just paid all of our distributions out on the 1st of this month for the investors in the fund, which, I'm not going to lie, I absolutely love getting texts going like, man, this is cool, like, and we've had 2 people that started lower, love getting their mailbox checks and go, you know what, like, this money's just sitting in my, my IRA right now. Or this one guy had money's just sitting in my life insurance. I pulled a loan on it at 4% and you're going to pay me 10. So, like, let me just take a loan on that. And he upped his investment from 100 to 250K. And this was, last month. So, that was cool, right? Like, hearing people get excited about and seeing, like, oh my gosh, like, there's an interesting way of how I can earn and make money without having to do anything. And then once we rolled out the ImagosX experiential, component of the fund, that got really exciting, because people are like, man, I can not only deploy capital, now I can, like, actually use the returns to live and enjoy my lifestyle, which is going to tie into something when we get to the scroll signal and noise section. Just I'll pull it up, but it's very interesting how people are looking at wealth building different now. And it's not just about passing something along to people after you're dead. People are looking at it a little bit differently. We'll talk about that here in a second. But I wanted to give you guys um, a moment of the week in ImagosX and share on something really cool that I thought, and again, this is not my core business. I partnered with a guy who's been doing this for over a decade, and he's been working with celebrities and promoters. He's from the world of Hollywood, and just over the years, built up connections with celebrities and athletes and PR companies and agencies, and he kind of became their plug. And getting insanely bespoke access to high ticket experiences, stuff that I'll just be honest, you and myself probably cannot afford. $500,000, $1 million, like ultra stuff, insane stuff. Um, but he also has insane access to a bunch of other things that are, $2,500 to 50K that are like still really epic that you can't find anywhere. And so this last week, he was, what was it? Lollapalooza. It was Lollapalooza. And this last week, Lollapalooza had some stuff where he had some customers that had already bought, I think, like a 500K package from him that had access for up to 20 people into being right next, to the stage where all of the main people are going on. All the main, singers, celebrities, you're right there. And then they've got access to, somebody who's driving them around in the cart, and they've got access to the private celebrity speakeasy where everybody hangs out afterwards and in between the shows and all that kind of stuff, right? So insane access type of stuff. And they call him um 50, or no, I'm sorry, they call him 48 hours before the event. And they're like, hey, we've got another 5 people that we need to get into Lollapalooza. And we called, and these are already extremely well connected people. We went through our agent, we went through and even got to the event coordinator who runs the entire Lollapalooza event. And they told us they couldn't get us these extra 5 wristbands and access. And we went to this person, like, can you help us? Like, we'll do anything, help us out. Well, guess what? My boy was able to pull it out. He got them 5 more wristbands. And again, this was, something that nobody else could find for them. And to me, I was just like, and to him, it was, oh, well, this is just what I do. I'm like, bro, like, that's insane that you were able to get stuff that even the event coordinator who hosts this whole thing. And so it just reminded me that, like, there is sold out. Then there is event coordinator sold out level. And then there's like levels of access that there's always some hidden level of pull or, hidden inventory or just access that unless you know the right people, you are not going to get those kind of results. And I'm extremely grateful and humbled to be able to be partnered with somebody like that who can solve those problems for not only ImagosX customers, but now for the investors in our fund. So pretty epic stuff. I was really, fired up to hear that. And then what we are doing is we've got a, um, Outside Lands is happening this week, so that's something that he told me I could share out. And basically, he's got some packages for Outside Lands for people that are going there. I think they're already basically all of his top tier packages he's sold out, but there were still some lower tier packages that he was like, yeah, we still got some of those. But that's, I think that's happening this weekend or this week. And then the next one is the iHeartRadio Music Festival, which is another one. So we're going to put some of this stuff. One, check out imagosx.com on our website, and we'll be posting more stuff on the website and sharing there. If you're somebody that is, maybe not looking to invest in the fund, but you spend silly amounts of money on experiences and packages, whether it's for you, for your clients, in your company, whatever it may be, or somebody that is. I saw a video or a post the other day that Anthropic, right? AI company Claude, they have somebody that they hired $350,000 a year to basically curate company experiences. And they spent, I think, like a couple $1,000,000 on creating experiences for and events for their employees, certain people. And I'm like, man, those are the types of people. If you know anybody in that world, I would love to get in front of anybody that is running a massive company and is looking to buy and access some of these things that are extremely exclusive and bespoke. I'm putting it out there. So that would be pretty awesome. Let's take a quick break and hear from today's show sponsor. What if luxury home ownership in Orange County was more attainable than you thought? At Skyline OC, Orange County's tallest residential tower, you can own a designer-finished residence with resort-style amenities, breathtaking panoramic views, and a lifestyle designed for how you live, work, and invest. Whether you're building wealth through real estate or searching for your next home, Skyline OC offers exceptional value in the heart of Orange County with condos from the 600s to $3 million. Visit SkylineOCResidences.com and discover why now is the perfect time to own at Skyline OC. All right, so let's roll over to the scroll. And I'm going to pull this up here on my screen. This is just a little update from, let's see here. So July jobs report came out today. We've got, as of today, the economy lost 23,000 jobs in July versus an expected 85,000. Pretty big delta there. Unemployment fell to 4.1%, below the 4.2 expected. June got revised down another 37,000 jobs. That's pretty crazy that every single month they're just revising these numbers down. But that's the third biggest monthly job loss since the 2020 pandemic. So that's a big deal. And as a result, we saw odds of no rate cut in September surge up to 65%. I thought this was pretty funny. I'll pull this up on the screen. Somebody, after posting this, Kevin Warsh, this dude dancing. This dude's got gigs, by the way. Look at this guy. Hey, and I don't know where they're at, but he is, if you're not watching this video, this dude is just chilling. It's like a trick walk almost. But basically, Polymarket Money posted odds of no Fed rate cut, no rate change in September spiked, which it was much lower. They were actually hinting. I mean, Bank of America said they think that we're going to see rate hikes this year. You even heard one of Fed Chair Cook. She also said, hey, we're willing to, if we don't see inflation come down or we don't see strong reports, we're going to use the tools at our disposal and we're going to hike rates. So to see this kind of jump down or jump up for a rate pause, and I think that also continues to support what, Breedwell's been talking about, that we're going to see, pauses, no hikes this year. But I just thought that video was pretty funny overall. One of the other things that I found interesting today was home builders are slashing their prices. So let me pull this up. Lennar, and let's pull this one up too, because one of the largest home mortgage companies hit an all-time low. What does that mean? So let's talk about, let me get rid of this real fast. All right, so let's bring this back over here. America's biggest home builders are slashing their prices. Lennar has reduced its average selling price from $511,000 to $377,000, a nearly 25% decline. That's inclusive of incentives. You got D.R. Horton has cut from 415 to 366, a 12% decline. And then, so this guy, he kind of goes on to say, like, 4 years ago, this would have been hard to imagine when, home prices were just going bananas. And from 2019 to 22, Lennar sold homes for more than 100,000 above D.R. Horton, with prices for both builders surging today. After 4 years of price cuts, they're selling homes for nearly the same price. So kind of just a wild shift, but you can see here on this chart, I mean, so this is why we're seeing also one of the best times to buy a new home is right now. Instead of buying an old home that, yeah, interest rates are high. So, we know we're not getting away from that. But a lot of times, you know, when you bought an older home, there's work. Even previous episodes, we talked about the amount of work that needs to go into some of these homes and additional investment on top of your purchase. You got to have some additional reserves and capital to put into some of these houses. Buying a brand new home has never been cheaper. I wouldn't say cheaper, but has never been honestly better. So, if you are looking to buy Lennar, DR Horton, Toll Brothers, a lot of these home builders, interesting time. I think it's just a signal that suggests we're in a weakening residential market. And there's a fight for market share to get houses and product off. We know that we're 3 to 5 million homes short nationwide. And yet we've got home builders that are trying to off product, therefore they're cutting their prices. It really just, again, is a sign of the times that affordability and demand right now, it's really challenging, which leads me to this next, um, you know, headline here, which is the largest mortgage lender in the United States, United Wholesale Mortgage, fell to an all-time low after suffering its largest drop in history. And I've been seeing some people, highlight, well, why? And, is this a sign that the housing market is going to collapse? I mean, when you start to think about and look at what these home builders are doing, they're cutting their prices just to get inventory and product off of their books. Like, what does this mean? I mean, last week's episode, and on one of my Instagram videos, I did a thing on foreclosures and foreclosures upticking. Like, is this the beginning of a crash? That's some of the things that I've heard a lot of people talking about. I don't think so. I think why we're seeing a major drop right now is because they don't have a large pipeline of loans. And therefore, if they don't do a lot of loans, then their share price is going to drop. Their profitability in the company is reflective of the demand for mortgages, and demand for mortgages is a product of the affordability of people to go out and buy homes right now. So, I mean, until those things change, you're going to see things like this. Headlines like this suggest that, there's things to be concerned about, but this is just a symptom of the market that we are in right now. Stress in traditional lending is obviously when we see things like private credit step in, which really ties into my lending thesis and why we have the Imagos Income Fund, the private credit fund, and what we're doing. Where there's more options available out there to people right now. And, you know, United Wholesale Mortgage needs to figure some shit out in order to get more flushing through the pipeline. And there's stuff that they can control, there's stuff that they can't. So it'll be interesting. But overall, I think things will be fine. And this is not the beginning of an imminent crash in the housing market. If you didn't watch one of my videos on the foreclosure, I tell you the 5 reasons why we're not going to have a housing crash. You can check that out on my Instagram. But one of the main reasons was, um, you know, 4 to 5 homeowners have a mortgage rate in sub 5 territory. And they're also sitting on a record all-time high, $11 trillion in equity in their homes. Those are 2 things that lead to a very strong backstop to the housing market, even though it's slow and stagnant and very unaffordable at the moment. All right, so let's talk about this last one that I chatted on a little bit earlier around living the lifestyle and living your wealth now versus passing it on. So we saw that in a recent study by Visa, 34% of boomers want to preserve wealth for after death, while 66% want to enjoy it themselves or watch their heirs enjoy it while alive. I think this is a really interesting shift and something that I'm seeing and hearing more of. I'm seeing people that have parents, instead of waiting for them to die and pass on their wealth through an estate, go, let's go buy a house for you now. Let's go invest in this business together now. Let's go take these trips and travel now. Let's buy a compound and let's all live together now. Instead of me just sitting on all this wealth and waiting for me to die to pass it on to you, I think a lot of people are going, the purpose of building wealth is to create a better life, not a better life after you're dead. And I love to see this trend and this shift. This is also why I'm very bullish on my thesis of experiential investing. People want to invest in things that not only make them money, but can elevate their lifestyle and to be able to share those things with the people that they love most. So I thought this was really cool. And overall, we're seeing with boomers, this is going to be, they've called it the silver tsunami, or, the biggest wealth transfer in history. It's being rethought in real time right now. And this is a redefining moment for what legacy wealth building actually means. And so for me, I think that we're going to see more and more of this continue to be prioritized and to become a larger trend and narrative. It's why we're seeing the hospitality and experiential economy blow up right now. Because I think after COVID, and I think just in general, as people really start to reflect on life, going, shit can change in a moment. And all the things that people were told for so many generations, which is grind your ass off and sacrifice 40, 50, 60 years of your life to hopefully be able to be healthy and enjoy it when that day comes, that's not guaranteed. And we've seen that and been proven and given the evidence that that's not a guarantee that you can bank on. So, of course, there's got to be a healthy balance around doing what is necessary to build wealth and to generate the income and to give yourself a financial backstop that covers your basis and your basics. But at the same time, as you start to build surplus in your life, you get to a certain level where it's like, another 100,000, another $1,000,000, like that's not going to change my life. So what will change my life is creating memories with my kids, or what will change my life is being able to give this money to my church, or to, have it go to a charity that's going to impact thousands of people. Like I want to see and experience that, not hear about it or never hear about it when I'm dead and, in a coffin or having my ashes spread somewhere. Like that's the stuff that I think is really cool and fun to see about this. And I think we're going to see and hear more of that. So that's all I got for you guys this week. New episode format. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. 844-447-1555. That number is going to be changing too, just so you guys know. We're going to be porting over and building out some new stuff on a new platform. So for my longtime texters that are saying what up, just a heads up there. If you're not following me on social media, please be a part of this journey with me. Of course, these will be more of my long form episodes and formats, but I'm also going to be having just the quick hits of daily videos going out. So if you don't see something coming out from me, I want you to, kick my ass, hold me accountable, talk some trash. And if you want to know more about investing in the Imagos Income Fund, you want to know more about ImagosX, text the word income to that phone number, and we'll be able to send you over a quick little PDF guide, very simple, kind of one pager that says exactly what it is, kind of some FAQs, answers a lot of the basics on the fund. And if there is interest, you'll get sent an email that has my calendar link to jump on a call with me, and we can discuss that further. But as always, love y'all. If there's any topics, anything that you're interested in, any comments that you have, text those over 844-447-1555. As always, keep investing in yourself and your wealth on your march to $1 million and beyond. Cheers. Well, that wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, you guys know this show would not be what it is without you, the amazing listener, the support, sharing this out with other people who can gain value from it, taking 60 seconds to leave a review. If you haven't done so already, those things mean the world to us and ultimately help us spread this message out to as many people as we possibly can to help them on their wealth building journey. If you have any particular links or resources that you're trying to track down that were mentioned in this interview, be sure to check out this episode at millionairemindcast.com, where you can find access to all that information. And of course, if you haven't checked out the Wise Investor Vault yet, be sure to head over to wiseinvestorvault.com to check out all the tools, all the resources, the checklists, the spreadsheets, the trackers, all kinds of amazing things that can help you on your wealth building journey at the wiseinvestorvault.com. If you haven't connected with me on social media yet, I'm consistently putting out more content, stories, value to help you on your wealth building journey. And one of the best and most exciting things for me on a weekly basis is getting to connect with you guys. Getting your DMs, hearing what things impacted you, what you need help with is a big way that we continue to drive the content for this show. So if we're not connected and following each other on Instagram, on social media at official Matty A, give me a like and a follow. Would love to connect with you there. And of course, don't forget to get on my deals list. If you're an accredited investor, you want to look at more deal flow, you want to see what deals I have access to, what deals I'm raising capital for. This is an exclusive list that I only put out to my accredited investor list, my Millionaire Mindcast family. So text the word deals to 844-447-1555. And with that being said, thank you again so much for supporting the show. Until next week's episode, keep investing in yourself and your wealth on your march to $1 million and beyond. Cheers.